Hello, everyone. Agnes here. I have got a very, very special interview today. It is with Mariana in the USA. Hello, Mariana.
Hi, Agnes.
Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you.
Yes, as always. And I am really thrilled to talk to you again because I have interviewed you a couple of times. Well, no, I read your success story once. And then we did another one. I'm going to put the links to those down below for those that really enjoy this and they want to go back and revisit. But today, when we looked at one of your YouTubes that you and I had done, it's got like 12,000 views, which was a fantastic YouTube for people to watch. So we thought because of that, we would come on and do a little bit more and expand on a few topics that people love to hear about on this channel. And we're going to start you off with the specific person topic. So what have you got to share with us since we last saw you?
Yes, so I actually wanted to show my face here because I know that if you previously interviewed another Mariana.
Yes, that's right. It's two of you.
And I didn't want people to be confused. So yes, there is two Marianas.
Yeah.
I have been working with Agnes, getting coaching for what, like 5 years?
I think
like
so.
5 years now. I found Agnes through YouTube after a heartbreak. I had recently, went through a breakup with my person. And I was desperately trying to find someone to tell me that there was hope. Someone to tell me that there was a way for me to get this wonderful person back. And it was quite a journey. And yes, you were a little hard sometimes.
Tough love.
Yes. You're like, you cannot ice a rotten cake.
That's right. You can't ice a rotten cake. That's right.
So I learned about self-love. That was what the first success story I sent you was about, was getting my specific person back. So I started with self-love as usual. I had never, and let me say this is a journey. This is a journey. I didn't know what that was. I didn't know what self-love was. I didn't know about meeting your own needs. To me, I believed that a person came into my life and their job was to make me feel loved.
Yeah.
And their job was to take care of me. Take care of me, baby me, cuddle me, kind of like fill all that, all those gaps I had within. That was what I thought love was. It was also very manipulative. I thought love was supposed to be manipulative. If you don't do this for me, then I'm not gonna do this. Because that is something that I grew up with. So it was kind of like it was a harsh awakening. So I started self-love. And actually, before I booked a session with you, I booked a session with, what was his name, Agnes? With John.
John, yeah.
But from I Am Imagination. Yeah. So Karandi. Yeah. So because I was desperate, but he was way too advanced. So I said, I can't do this. I have to learn the beginnings. I started with self-love and I started doing a few specific person meditations. I think you had a playlist already back then. There was one of your Get Your Specific Person Back meditation that was about you meeting your specific person at a beach. And you kind of see them walking towards you. That was my favorite one. So I used to do that all the time. and I did get a text back, get a call back after a while, but for the most part, that didn't really work at the beginning. I was desperate. I was getting anxiety attacks right before I started speaking to you. Anxiety attacks. I felt like this break, this break meant that I wasn't wanted, that I wasn't chosen, that people didn't love me. So it triggered a lot of harsh stuff for me. My father had passed away about a year prior to that. So it was very hard. After a few, maybe like about a month, 2 months of consistently doing self-love meditations, I felt like I started to become calmer. I started feeling a little bit better. Sometimes I would still get a little nervous, but for the most part, I started calming down. And then, I started feeling happier. And that's when I started studying Neville, because I didn't know who Neville was. So I started studying Neville, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I remember that I read At Your Command. And I was in this Facebook group where they actually discussed At Your Command, kind of like breaking it apart, because Neville's teachings, the wordings he used were a little bit, at the beginning, were a little bit hard to understand. And he and Neville said in his book that you need to I am. I didn't know what that was. So I tried it. I tried I aming for quite a while. I think it took me about 2 hours of just silently I aming. And then I started to feel this pressure in my third eye. And you're supposed to imagine a scene after your I aming. But when you first start I aming, there is this elevation sensation and you can't focus. I couldn't focus. My mind couldn't focus on a picture. And I've never been the best visualizer anyway. So what I did instead is I started, you're creating love. I am love, I am loved. I am love, I am loved. And I started to feel this sensation in my heart. Like it started to expand and it just get bigger and bigger and bigger. And the next day, it felt like I had finally gotten a taste of what unconditional love felt like. It was the most beautiful, the most sincere feeling I have ever felt in my life. And I feel like that supercharged my manifestation. Because about a week later, maybe a week or 2 weeks later, I was back with my person. I did all the basics. I started doing a lot of Ho'oponopono, learning a lot about that. And I remember one day I was in the shower. So the shower is like my space. I get so many ideas when I'm in the shower.
Yep.
And I'm taking a shower and something just tells me, send him a message. This was, I think, second week of December. Send him a message. His grandmother passed away last year around this date. Send him a message. I was nervous. I was very nervous. I think I did 3 or 4 self-love meditations back to back to back to back to prep me. And then I did get a text back meditation. And then I sent the message. At that point, I didn't care if he answered me back. I sent the message and I remember I laid down in bed to continue listening to self-love. In case he didn't text me back, I would inspire and burn.
Nice.
And I think like 15, 20 minutes pass and then I hear my phone going beep. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. And when I look at my phone, there was a text back. And that opened up the conversation again. You know, and there has been some ups and downs, but that person is still here. He's still here.
Mariana, what a great correlation between 2 points. The not feeling fantastic, working on the inside self to feel more loved and more connected to source. And then once you do that and make that the priority, it's like the relationship then takes care of itself. And I think that's such a massive thing to remember, because we try and fix the relationship from the outside and that never works, because it's only reflecting back to us. And I mean, Ho'oponopono is all about that. Everyone As You Pushed Out, it's all about that. You know, it's all about correct the inside, work on what you've got going on, dissolve, correct, change your thinking, mental diet, heal the old emotions from childhood. If you work on that, then it falls at your feet.
Yeah, it kind of transforms itself and it moves by itself.
Yes. Yeah.
It kind of like it moves. You know, sometimes the 3D takes a while to catch up. But if you continue, it will move. It will shift.
Yeah.
I think that is worthy of constantly being remembered, because we get so bombarded by the 3D all the time. It's kind of like nonstop.
Yeah.
And I feel like we always have to take a step back and be like, wait a minute, this can shift. This can shift. You know, and I love when, you know, other people, it's like, oh, but you just need to change states. You know, you just need to jump states. You know, you just need to live from the end.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is part of it.
Yeah. And then you go, how do I do that? Like when you don't know how to do it's like, I know those words, but how do I do that? How do I apply that? How do I do that today?
Yeah, but it kind of goes back to, okay, but look at yourself. Don't look at what they're telling you. Look at yourself. What have you gone through personally? You know, how does your brain behave? Everyone's mind works differently. How does yours behave? Mine's, for example, I get stuck in a loop sometimes, in a negative loop pattern.
Yeah.
And that is derived from childhood trauma. Yeah. It has changed the chemistry in my brain. So for me, just shifting states, you know, and just living the end, it only takes me so far.
Yes.
Because you need to break the pattern. You know, it's kind of like, what is it that Dr. Joe Dispenza says? The wires that, you know, that stick together, something. Yeah. I can't remember the exact words, but it's kind of like the chemistry in your brain. You're constantly thinking a specific set of thoughts. Yeah. And thinking those thoughts create a chemical reaction in your body. It kind of has the same reaction as if, you know, as you being on drugs. So if your body is used to that chemical reaction, do you really think that it's not going to take some work to shift the other way? Yeah. It takes work. Yeah. But it's possible. Yeah. Because I reached a point in my life where I said that I would rather die than go back to who I was before. So I didn't have another option. Yep. It's either get it together or get it fucked together. Yeah. It's like, yeah. 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 So you get so sick of yourself and so sick of where you're at. Just go, right, I'm shutting that back door now. That's it. And there's only one way, and that's forward, or I'm off the path totally and I give up completely. You know, it really is that simple. I think that's when you really hit a rock bottom,
And that's when you really, really are ready to learn. I think those rock bottoms are huge in learning.
Yeah, because I was tired of always being a victim. Always, why does this always happen to me? Why isn't that God wants me to be happy? You know, why is it that I have to work so hard at getting anything, you know? And I just got
Yes.
tired of that story. I got tired of, you know, of feeling like I just wasn't good enough for anything that I wanted.
Yeah.
And
And look at you now. It's such a, oh, you know, Mariana, I always remember when we first met and you were living in an area that was quite dangerous in the projects. And where was it exactly that I don't remember?
The projects were in an area called Mott Haven in the Bronx.
Okay.
A very dangerous,
yeah,
not the cleanest area.
Yeah. And I remember you wanted to have this wonderful relationship, which you are now, you know, it's progressing and you're enjoying. And also you wanted to live in a place where you felt safe, that was light and bright, and you felt happy there. And those two things have now come to pass. And you started so far back, it was a huge mental jump for you. But this is why this is so important for people that are listening today. It doesn't matter where you start. It matters what you do. It matters what you do.
Yep. I have lived my whole life in the projects.
Yeah.
My childhood was in Puerto Rico and also public housing, which is what we call the projects. And it was in one of the most dangerous areas of Puerto Rico. So I noticed that my whole life, regardless of how violent the area was, I have always had the feeling that I am safe. It didn't matter what I was in the middle of. Living here, you know, in New York, in public housing. I used to work in retail back then. And there were times when I would leave work at 4:00 in the morning.
Wow.
And my mother would be scared, you know, of me walking through the projects at that time.
Yeah.
And I couldn't care less. I was tired and exhausted, but I never felt like I was unsafe walking around the projects.
That's an amazing belief to have.
Yeah.
And you think, where did I get that from with the environment I am living in? That's astounding.
Yeah. I was just like, there's this saying in Spanish that we say, camino como perro por mi casa. Like, I'm just like a dog walking around my neighborhood.
That's wonderful.
And, you know, I was just safe.
Yeah.
It didn't matter where I was safe. But, you know, the projects, it came with a lot of, you know, my apartment was full of mold. It was full of roaches. It was a very old, you know, people that know the projects, they know what I'm talking about. It was not a good situation. I lived there for 20 years. When I learned about self-love and when I learned about, you know, sending unconditional love out, I started doing it for the building.
No, wow.
You had a meditation, that it wasn't the created love one. There was another one. And I would sit down and I would imagine that I get filled with love. And then I would share it specifically to my people first, to my specific person, to my mom. I would fill myself up first and then just keep on spreading it out into the vicinity. And then I would continue pushing it out into the building. After a few times of doing that, the, the violence kind of subsided a lot. People just seemed to be happier around the projects. They would laugh, smile, they would see me smile, hi. It was a drastic difference.
Wow.
It was amazing. So, because I had always lived in the projects, I had this belief that rent was too expensive and I couldn't afford it.
Yep.
So, I told my person, I feel like I have to break this cycle. There's this thought pattern that has kept me in the projects my whole life.
Yep.
And I need to break that, I told him. And I started doing Ho'oponopono.
Yeah.
And I started cleaning from the beginning of my childhood. I remember living in the projects. I started cleaning on that. And after doing it a few times, I started looking for apartments. And lo and behold, all the apartments I would see, they were like triple what I could afford. And I would say, Mariana, keep going, keep going, keep going. And sometimes I'll feel like, shit, this is not working. This is not working. I will go back to Ho'oponopono. And I started writing down some affirmations because writing seems to work for me.
Yeah.
Started writing some affirmations down every night. And then I hire this guy to help me find an apartment. And he finds me an apartment in this area called Yonkers, kind of far from my house, but I wanted far from my house. I wanted calm, I wanted clean. Yeah. And I remember it was on a 4th floor and the price was amazing. And I go and see it with my cousin. And I was like, oh my God, this is perfect. I take a video. And then I go back the second time with my person. And he sees it and he's like, I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but the apartment is better than where you are now. But it's not really the area. It's not really that much better than where you are now. He go, maybe it's a step above, but but not that much. So, I put in the application for the apartment and I kept saying to people, there's no reason they can deny me. I have perfect credit. And I, in faith that I was going to get the apartment, I started packing up my house and throwing up stuff away because I was like, I'm getting the apartment. Started packing, throwing stuff out. And I kept on saying to people, there's no reason they would deny me. There's no reason they would deny me. And then I got a call back and I got denied.
Yeah.
I got denied. And, I cried and I was like, how can this happen? I have imagined it. Yeah. And all this stuff. And I was just like, keep going. My person, he was like, it's all right. You're going to find something better. Just keep looking. So that was a birds before land. Yeah. So literally a week later, I get a posting on that, application to find like apartments. I get that that posting dropped Sunday about 3 p.m. I remember. And I was like, oh my God, the price was a little bit higher than the previous apartment, but the area is kind of like a 360. So I immediately sent a message, I'm interested in this apartment. I didn't hear anything back. The next day, it was Monday. I'm calling, I'm sending messages. I don't hear anything back. And I was like, oh my God. I call again and a lady answers and she tells me there has been so many people calling for this apartment that we're doing an open house today. Okay. Today. So I tell my employer, can I leave early? They said yes. I ran. I came to see the apartment and Agnes. On that Wednesday, I got the apartment.
And that's the one you're in right now.
And that's the one I'm in right now.
And how many people saw it when you went to see it that day?
Well, while I was here, because I actually arrived a few minutes before they said the open house was due to open. So at the time that I was viewing the apartment, there was 3 more families here.
Wow.
And as I was leaving, there were more people coming up.
Gee.
And I remember there was this guy that was seeing the rooms at the same time that I was, and he was a lot taller than me. And I said to myself in my head, he's too tall for this apartment.
That's great. He doesn't fit here.
He doesn't fit here.
Yeah.
He's too tall for this bathroom.
Yeah.
He's too tall for this bathroom. He doesn't fit in the bathroom.
Looking back, do you remember? Because I remember when you and I were talking about this, but I don't remember. Were you doing any I'm first best, I belong here, I'm chosen? Were you doing any of those for the apartment?
I hadn't come across the I am chosen affirmation at that time yet. But I never stopped doing I am first best. So that was part of the ones that I would write every day. Yeah. I am wanted, because that was a big one for me. Yes. And I think some of the affirmations that I was doing was, I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm in my perfect apartment. Yeah. And I created a list of things that I wanted in an apartment, and I got all of them. Can you tell me what they are? Just so, because it gives people a bit more of a picture. So, because I lived in the project, my bathroom didn't have a window. Yep. And that was one of the main reasons why my apartment was flooded with mold. Yes. And I got very sick because of that mold. So I was like, my bathroom needs to have a window. Yeah. So I got the window. I wanted tons of natural light. I was tired of, my apartment being dark and always having to have it lit with light bulbs. I didn't want that. I wanted nice light. I got it's like super bright in here. Every time I leave my room, I'm like, oh my God. That's so great. Yeah, so I'm on a 2nd floor instead of a 4th floor on the apartment that I almost took. And my project apartment, that was a 10th floor. And you had to walk the stairs? No, we had an elevator, but in the project, the elevator used to break a lot. Yeah. So there were times that I would have to go up the stairs. Yeah. So I got the window in the kitchen that I wanted. Yeah. I actually got all brand new appliances. Fabulous. I got a full stove that I didn't even have in the project. So that was brand new to me. I wanted my kitchen to be a big size. I got that. Yeah. So I literally got everything. I even wanted a simple nightstand next to my bed, because I never had that before. Yes. And I have that now. And every time I look at my little nightstand, I was like, oh, I'm so excited to have you. Thank you for being here. Yeah. Gratitude. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I still remember you telling me that you got it. I remember you telling me you lost the first one. You were upset. And I remember we talked about, the second one, and just how, thank goodness that you missed the first one. Yes. And that happened to me with jobs too. I almost took this job, and the day of my first day, I told my person, I'm not feeling this job. Yeah. And he was like, all right, that's divine. What is it that he says? That's divine misdirection. Yes. So I literally got the job that I just, did for 3 years, a week after that. So a new apartment, your relationship is kicking into gear, and then you got, the job, the apartment, and the relationship got all 3. Yeah, I got the job before I got the apartment because I needed to make more money. Yes. So you could afford the apartment. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's terrific.
And
Yeah.
I know you did a lot of affirmations and a lot of Ho'oponopono. They were kind of your two main things, weren't they?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I found a way to kind of like crack the system for myself,
Yeah. Crack
you
the
know,
system,
and
crack the
and
code. Yeah.
crack the code because
Mm.
there is so many techniques, right? There's so many techniques, and
Yeah.
you have to really figure out what works for you.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And I realized that for me, and I think for most people, and I've given this, I've given this information to a lot of other people, is that you need to go about your reprogramming
Mm.
in the way that you learn.
Yes. The
So,
easiest way for you to learn.
right.
Yeah.
So for me, I am visual and I am kinetic.
Okay.
So writing down my
Yep.
affirmations and reading them as I'm writing them works really well for me. And visualizing, well, actually, let me correct that, not visualizing, because I am not the best at visualizing, but that doesn't stop me from imagining.
Yeah, that's right. Good for you. That's right. You don't have to be perfect at it. It's just have a crack at it and do your best. And you do get better at things over time.
Yeah.
And if you're not good at visualizing, you go, well, hang on, I could go into meditation and do a audio where I hear someone's voice telling me something that I can do within that place of my eyes closed and the meditative state. I can do that.
I feel like to this day, I still cannot see my person's face much.
You know what? That's quite common, I didn't realize that was common, but working with a lot of people one-on-one, I have heard that at least 50 times, that people, they can imagine everything else, but not the person's face. I don't know what happens, but it's like it gets wiped from the memory.
Yeah, I have no idea why that is. Anything that I imagine, I cannot see it. I can't see it 100% clearly.
Yeah.
Because I guess visualizing is not, is not my top thing.
Yeah.
Like I can't do it.
Yeah.
But we're limitless. So just the fact that you're imagining it and
Yeah.
you know what it's supposed to be about.
Yeah.
That's enough.
Yeah, because you know what your desire is. That's
Right.
that's the thing that drives the bus. That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like when I argue in my mind with someone, I don't look at their face, but I know I'm arguing with them.
I know who I'm arguing with in my head. Yeah, that's right. That's brilliant. Honestly, hearing your story, it is just, it doesn't matter where you start. It doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter where you went to school. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
No.
It doesn't matter. It is just so inspiring, your story, Mariana, because you had everything stacked against you.
Oh my God. When I started this journey, I was 30. So I had what, half of my life?
Yeah.
Thinking a certain way.
But not only that, Mariana, you are actually a foreigner in the US as well. So you got that against you. Not saying that it's against you, but you don't know the rules and regulations of somebody that lives and grows up and is born in a country.
Yeah.
It's like those of us that have moved and gone to a country that is not the country of our birth, we are on the back foot. And that is a wonderful thing, because it makes you have to try harder, be more creative, learn to discipline your thoughts more than someone from that original country, I think. So
it's such a layered concept, because there's also the cultural clash.
Yep.
You get that. Even though I was born in the US, I wasn't raised in the US.
Yes.
I was raised in the Caribbean, between two countries.
Yes.
So I would hop from Puerto Rico to the Dominican Republic
Yeah.
And it made me realize that it didn't matter which country I was, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, or here, I never felt like I could fit in anywhere.
Yep. Yep.
I couldn't fit in anywhere. Nowhere did I feel like I was accepted.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that made me have to work at things so much harder. And it puts this pressure on you, this pressure to belong.
Yes,
You
it
know,
does.
this worth thing that I'm always talking about. It's like you attach your self-worth to people, to circumstances, to what the world is showing you, to your job.
Yeah.
So how do you go about becoming your own person, your own identity? And you separate from having, from needing all that constant validation.
For sure.
That doesn't work anyway, because even if they give it to you within, you're still like, but that's not true.
Yeah, you don't let it soak in. That's true.
No.
You know, my law of attraction friend that I've known for 30 years, she's Lithuanian, and she was born in a refugee camp in Germany and then ends up in Australia because her parents started to work, like they were importing foreigners into Australia to build there was a scheme there. So they were giving people houses and things to bring people to Australia, because in those days, there wasn't many people there at all. So
yeah.
But she said her thing was exactly what you said, and she's practiced I belong here. That was been one of her main affirmations, and she did that and got an amazing job above heaps of other people. And she said she used to walk around the grounds of that place and say I belong here, because she felt like she was a real foreigner and she didn't belong there. So she practiced that. She worked there for 30 years.
That is amazing.
It is. And it's exactly what you're saying. You don't feel like you belong, but then you keep doing it to yourself. Then you keep getting the reflection of I don't belong here, because you get treated that way. So if you keep saying I belong here, I'm accepted, I so love being here, this is my country, and you practice that, then it will start to grow roots. But it starts with you. You. Yeah.
It's such a wonderful journey. I feel like
it is.
When I was a little girl in Puerto Rico, back then there was a lot of differences between Puerto Ricans and Dominicans. And they'll be like, oh, you don't belong here, you're Dominican.
Yeah.
And my mom would be like, well, she's actually not Dominican. She was born in the US.
Yeah.
So up there, I didn't feel like I belonged because I was not part of them. And then when I went to the Dominican Republic, oh, you don't belong here. You have a Puerto Rican accent.
Yeah.
And I get to the US and it's like, oh, but you don't speak English.
And you're thinking, okay, now where do I go? I know, but and when you're an adult, you can deal with it. When you're a child, it's a whole different bag of nuts, isn't it? Because you don't have the skill set to be able to be okay with your differences. You think, okay, I'm different, I need to try and be like them. And it's like, no, as an adult, you understand all that. But yeah, as a kid, it's tough, especially when you're moving schools and all of that. You are such a, whenever I think of you, Mariana, I think of the little tiny plant that grows out in the crack of the concrete. It's like you have got that ability, the resilience that's come from all these trials and tribulations, and then you learning about all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then using it, because it's like you can learn about all this, but it's not in the learning, it's in the application.
No.
And application's a whole other level.
And it still kicks my behind sometimes, but I can't go back.
No, you can't go back. Yeah.
I can't go
back.
You have
to go forward. Yeah.
I have to keep going forward, and if going through all of this, if going through all of these struggles and going through all of this childhood trauma, if that allows me to even help one person.
Yep.
Because it's such a learning curve.
Yeah.
Then that is already, so wonderful for me.
Yeah.
Because
you are doing that. It does. And sometimes you don't know where to put it or what to do with it or whatever. But it's like you've channeled yours into, I'm going to go through one thing at a time. My money, my job, my relationship, where I live. You're going to work through these things, and you've really sifted through it a bit at a time. Now, of course, there's always more that we aim for and more that we desire. And I know that you're doing that as well. But you can't deny the path and the success that you've already had from where you started. And not only that, now we're going to talk a little bit about what you've now done, because you've created this amazing, I'm not going to share it, I'll let you share it, things that are now giving other people relief and helping people with these types of things that we've just discussed in your interview today. So can you tell people a little bit more about what you're doing, and then where they can go to find these things? Because this is really the cherry on the cake.
Yeah, so I have a few projects coming, but currently, as of right now, I have a YouTube channel, and that channel is called Spiritual Alchemy Meditations. You have spoken about it before on your channel. I'm so appreciative of you and, and listening to my meditations. But these meditations are so dear to my heart. They include a lot of the personal affirmations that I use every day that has helped me in leaps and bounds. I'm so understanding of the power of words, and and the power that we have within ourselves, that we just need to kind of unlock it. How do we unlock it? Right? How do we go about unlocking? How do we go about acknowledging it and just not being scared to use it? And I feel like affirmations is such a powerful tool, that allows you to get there, and allows you to get there by helping you overcome other stuff. So when you're constantly, so you have to look at it this way, our mind is being programmed for something 24/7, regardless of if we want it to or not. That is why, our brains work, it learns via repetition. When we're in school, at least for me, they would have me write one sentence 10, 20 times, because they knew that's how a child learns. That is one of the many reasons why you put on cable and you put the news, and the news will say the same thing to you over and over and over in just 2 hours? I have family members that sit down and watch the news for hours.
I know.
And that is reprogramming your mind, your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind is that power that you have. That's where your manifestations spring forth. So instead of letting the world program you, then let's program it consciously. With the things that we want in our life. And we can do that with affirmations. So I have this channel that is meant to help you reprogram your subconscious mind to be able to achieve the things that you want to achieve, to be able to feel the way that you want to feel. Because we all want to feel good. We all want to feel loved. And when we come into this world, we come lacking nothing. It's just that we get programmed by our parents, by society. So it's kind of like, okay, that happened to me for 30 years. What am I going to put in my brain now? And it's a process, but it's doable.
It really is.
It is.
And I've listened to some of your meditations lately, because, we've been talking about this, and behind the scenes, you and I, and it's so wonderful, because it's like your meditations are like a photocopy of what you've been working on, and not only have you worked on it, but that programming your mind or reprogramming your mind with these particular statements have worked for you. So you're talking from, this is the problem I had, this is what I did, and this is the end result I got. So it's tried and the method is successful. So this is what's so great. And I really enjoyed the 2 or 3 meditations that I've done lately, and the people that are going to watch this will be able to access those, and also they can access the 2, the success stories that I read out, the interview that we talked about, down below in the description, and then they can have your details so they can get in contact with you, because honestly, you have come from, we're not just talking that your mom just didn't give you the lollipop you wanted when you were little and now you got an issue. Like, we're talking you've had to really, really pull it up, and you have, a lot of people end up as addicts, a lot of people suicide, a lot of people end up on government assistance for years when they've had the beginnings that you have had. And you went, you know what? No, I'm responsible, and I'm going to really put my best foot forward. And like you said, not every day is easy, but you keep moving up. So I'm so thrilled that you came and shared a bit more, because you're further down the track. And what's great is you're sitting in that lovely apartment with all those wonderful features that you wanted. And, you've got this lovely relationship that's evolving, and your creative project is now hatching, and it's in line with everything that I talk about on my channel. So you'll be talking to the converted today in terms of who watches it. So thank you, Mariana, for coming and sharing that. And I'm just so thrilled. I love watching where you're going. I just love watching it. It's really
Thank
thrilling.
you so much.
Yeah.
And yes, you're like a second mother to me.
Nice.
You're
That's
like a
good.
second mother to me. And it's like your voice is like, oh wait, I'm a little stressed today. I need to listen to any.
Yeah.
It's always, it's always so nice to be able to find someone that you can speak to that understands where you're coming from, right?
Yeah.
Because I always want to be able to speak from experience.
Yeah.
And that's what I found, from you, because why would I find a coach that never had any issues with getting a relationship when I have issues with a relationship? So how is that person going to help me?
Exactly. And if you got no money, you go to the person that's manifested that. You got someone that's got a meaningful job and they love it. If you're struggling with work, I think, going to people that are already not only have manifested it, but are still able to maintain it. That's even better. So yeah, I mean, I'm really fond of you, and I've known you quite a long time. So I just, honestly, it's a thrill to watch you. It really is. It's wonderful.
I love you. You're my second mama.
Yay. Zoom hug.
Yay.
Well, do you want to say any last words and say goodbye before we go?
Definitely more things are coming on the channel.
Yeah.
And then some other new projects are probably going to get hatched pretty soon.
Beautiful.
I am at your command by Neville is priced a session. I think it's one of his most priced work, and a lot of people don't really understand what it means. So I have a project coming that is going to be going deeper into what he means in that book.
Lovely.
So definitely, if what I said here resonates with you, go to my channel, give me a follow, leave me comments. I want to build a little community. Let me know what you need, how I can help. Shoot me an email if you want. Sure. I'm here to help.
Lovely. And once that project's up and running, let me know, and then we can talk about that, because obviously, the people that listen here are very Neville interested. So when you're ready, because that's always a conversation that I love and enjoy. So we can do that, Mariana.
Thank you so much, Agnes.
Thank you for coming. Well, thank you everyone for joining us for this very satisfying discussion. I just love. It's like when you just get into the groove, like I I've known your story since the beginning, but there were bits you shared today that I had forgotten or I hadn't heard. So it was like I was hearing it for the first time. So that's terrific. So thank you, everyone. And I will put all of the things that Mariana and I talked about down below and here so that you can click and go straight there. And I will see you all in the next YouTube.
Yay! Ah, that was really nice.